But today we're going to be looking at arguably what a lot of people think is the strongest deck in the standard format right now, and that's going to be Yveltal Zoroark Gallade, or what people kind of collectively call it YZG. So this deck has a ton going for it. You know, if you played in the 2012, 2013 format, something like that, you'll know that Darkrai EX was such a huge force. I mean, when we had Next Destinies come out, and I want to say 2013, 2012, I can't remember for sure. That was huge because that kind of ushered an era of these big Pokemon EX, and that still kind of remains today. Shaman is in this deck, Yveltal-EX, but that kind of ushered in the era, and that's when we saw like Mewtwo EX and things like that. But suddenly, with Dark Explorers, which came out just a few months later, we had Darkrai EX, and Darkrai EX changed the game. It had free retreat with that Dark Cloak ability. It had a really, really strong attack. Night Spirit hit for 90 and 30 on the bench. It had Dark Claw to bump up its attack, which is, kind of like foreshadowing Muscle Band, that damage modifier. And then finally it had Dark Patch, which was kind of energy acceleration. So, fast forward about 2 or 3 years, and now we're here. A lot of these same kind of strategies are here, and it expanded. Like I said, Darkrai is still big. You gain Dark Patch, you gain Darkrai, but in this deck, players have to kind of modify their strategy since that's not there. So, like I said, Yveltal Zoroark Gallade, arguably one of the best decks in format. Basically, the strategy is simple. It's a very aggressive deck. Yveltal EX is hitting very hard, a very strong EX attacker. Evil Ball is doing 20 plus 20 more damage times the number of energy on both active Pokemon. So think Mewtwo EX's X Ball, but a little better because it has a base 20 damage. So this is probably the main attacker here. Evil Ball is doing a ton of damage. You can also use Y Cyclone for 90 and move an energy off of it to the bench. That's really good if you want to conserve energy, or if you're in the mirror matchup where it's Yveltal versus Yveltal. That's going to be preventing a knockout and giving you kind of an edge. So that's why we play that. We play three baby Yveltal, as people like to call it. This guy is awesome. The Oblivion Wing attack, it's doing 30 and lets you accelerate energy from the discard. But this is great because we need something for Night March. If you don't think that YZG is the best deck, then you probably think that Night March is. It's definitely probably a tie between those two. But Night March is amazing because it has such a good prize exchange. It hits extremely hard. So that's why we play 3 of these. A lot of people play 2, but I think it needs 3. Otherwise, you're going to lose pretty hard because Yveltal and Shaman are both weak to Lightning, and Joltik is using Night March as early as turn 1. So Yveltal can knock out both Pumpkaboo and Joltik for 1 energy. And that's why we play it in here. It's also good just to kind of accelerate energy. We play a 2-2 Zoroark line. This is pretty standard. This lets you stand in and retreat, so it gives you free retreat essentially with the Float Stone. And also lets you get out of status conditions, although those aren't really as prominent anymore. And then, of course, the Mind Jack attack, it does 10, and then 30 more damage for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So, for example, if your opponent has 5 bench Pokemon, like a full bench, not counting Skyfield, that would be 10 plus 150. That's 160 damage. So that is pretty big. And then you might be thinking, well, if it has a Float Stone, that's not exactly a knockout. A lot of these big Pokemon right now have 170 HP, but as I'll be showing you, there is a way to kind of bump that up and get that magic number. And then lastly, we play Gallade as a secondary attacker. Gallade is awesome because it is giving you a counter for lightning decks. So things like Mega Manectric EX or just plain Manectric EX. These decks are going to be causing serious trouble on this deck otherwise because they hit for weakness. Manectric's Assault Laser can basically one-shot anything in the deck thanks to if you're playing a tool on your Pokemon, which most Pokemon are probably going to have a tool on them. So Sensitive Blade, it does 60, and it says if I've played a supporter card, it does 70 more. So it's doing 130, which is huge. I mean, that could potentially knock out a Greninja. Not a Greninja Break, but a Greninja. That could knock out an Entei if it doesn't have any tools on it. It could also knock out Manectric EX pretty clean. It's hitting for weakness, so that's 260 damage. There's no way they can really stop that. unless they're playing like a Flash Energy or something like that. And then you have the Premonition ability, which is just another great form of support. It lets you look at the top 5 of your cards of your deck every turn and rearrange them, so that is pretty awesome. And then, of course, lastly with our Pokemon, we have the Shaman-EX. I think at the time of this video, Shaman is still hovering in the $25 to $30 range, so I do wish Pokemon would make it a bit more affordable. We were all kind of hoping it would be in a 10, and then they just announced the, I want to say the Generations Elite Trainer Box with 10 packs and a Shaman. I was really excited until I saw that it was the wrong Shaman. Unfortunately, it's the Shaman promo. I think it's kind of like a Generations card, but it's a grass type Shaman, definitely not this Shaman. But Shaman lets you set up, draw 6. When you put it down, draw up to 6, I should say. So that is very good. It's letting you speed through the deck, burn through resources, and get set up. So that is our Pokemon line. As far as supporters goes, there are a ton of supporters in here. It's kind of split. A new player might be like, "Oh, this is horrible. Why aren't we playing like four Sycamore or 4 of whatever?" Well, in this deck, you don't necessarily need to. You have so many forms of drawing cards. For example, we have Trainer's Mail to kind of dig out our trainer cards. If you look up here, we play 36 trainer cards, so if my math is right, I think 60% of our deck are trainer cards, so that's good odds to draw a trainer. We can always Ultra Ball to get the Shaman. We can always Battle Compressor to get the Verse Seeker to get your supporter, so that's why we don't have to play thick counts of supporters in the deck. We play 3 Professor Sycamore because it is everybody's go-to supporter. Discard your hand, draw 7. Very, very powerful. I do recommend it. We play 2 Lysander. This is one that I don't want to compromise on and play a 1 of. We have to have Lysander in here to bring up Pokemon and take quick knockouts. So that is good. We play 1 Xerosic because a lot of Pokemon, or a lot of players are playing tool cards now. Fighting Fury Belt, Floatstone, things like that. We need to knock off tools. It's also great for special energies, so things like Flash Energy, so Gallade can get a knock on Mega Manectric. Double Colorless Energy, so you might have a better advantage or better matchup against like Giratina-EX or Seismitoad-EX, so you can definitely see why it's a good card. We play 1 AZ. This is great if you are kind of stuck, you can't draw your Floatstones, if something is about to get knocked out, etc. It's great to kind of scoop that Pokemon up or heal the damage. We play Hexmaniac because so many Pokemon use abilities. Think about Bronzong's Metal Links, lets it accelerate energy. Aromatisse's Fairy Transfer lets you move around Fairy Energy. There are so many Pokemon that use abilities right now, so we have to block that. And of course, Night March uses Shaman to kind of draw cards, so that's really good for that as well. We play Judge. I don't particularly like Judge. I wish we had In, which in the next set, which comes out in May, I want to say. We are finally getting In back, and I'm so excited about that. In is fantastic. It's great for the format. I don't like Judge. But, that said, we have to play some kind of card to disrupt our opponent. The last thing we want is for our opponent to be down to 1 or 2 prizes, and they have like a 12-card hand, and we pretty much have to concede. No, we are going to play Judge, so that way they have to shuffle all that back in, draw 4 cards, and significantly decrease their chances of winning the next turn. Or if, you start with it, that's always good. If you go first, you can kind of knock them down from 7 or 8 cards to 4. So it's always a good utility card. Lastly, we are playing Maxie's Hidden Ball Trick, and this is going to enable us to get the Gallade out to begin with. It lets us put a fighting Pokemon from our discard onto the bench and draw 5 cards. The only caveat is that it has to be the last card in our hand. So that said, we have to max out our Battle Compressors, we have to max out our Trainer's Mail, and we have to max out our Ultra Ball in order to maximize our chances of getting the Gallade. That said, we do play Battle Compressor to do that, but also to put energy in the discard to accelerate with Yveltal, and to get rid of one of supporters so that way we can quickly draw them with VS Seeker. So, the rest of the items are pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty straightforward with this deck. Floatstone gives us free retreat. Looks like we play 1 Super Rod just in case we are running out of a particular Pokemon, like if we have to discard a Zoroark line, we have to discard a lot of energy. And then lastly, we play Startling Megaphone. I do recommend playing at least one of this card in your deck. A lot of players have been kind of opting to play 2, especially in locally at my league and things like that, but Um, I prefer playing one Megaphone and one Xerosic. I think that is a good balance. I can Trainer's Melon to start only Megaphone really quickly to knock off several tools, and if they decide to put another one on, I can always Xerosic. So that's why I recommend it. A lot of people are playing tools. Entei plays a ton of tools. This deck plays tools, so definitely recommend it. And then lastly, we play Fighting Fury Belt because it really offsets the math. For example, if you are battling against another Yveltal-EX, let's just say you both have 3 energy on you. Um, so that would be 120 damage, 140 with their Muscle Band, 160 with Yveltal's base damage. So, all they need is something like a Reverse Valley or Giovanni Scheme to get that magic number. But suddenly they won't be getting it if you play Fighting Fury Belt. It bumps you up to 170 HP, and it's going to really save you. So that's why I like that. Speaking of which, since you are doing 10 less damage compared to Muscle Band, we are going to balance that out with Reverse Valley. That's pretty awesome, and it's also going to let you get that magic number with Zoroark, as I mentioned earlier. So you have to play a Stadium. There are just too many decks that can kind of shut you down if you don't play it. If somebody's playing Silent Lab, it could shut off your Shaman. Trevenant decks use Dimension Valley, so we need something to kind of counteract those. And I think Reverse Valley is the stadium of choice here. And finally, with the energy, we play 7 Dark Energy. That's plenty of energy to discard, to draw into really quickly, so I think that's good. And then we play 4 Double Colorless because that is standard. Our Gallade uses it, our Zoroark uses it, and our Yveltal-EX uses it. And if you really absolutely have to, maybe against Night March, you can always Shaman, use Sky Return with the double colorless energy. Maybe to knock out like a Joltik or something else that's really weak. But that is the deck, guys. Yveltal Zoroark Gallade, also known as YZG. I've had really good results with it. It's very fast, very consistent, arguably the best deck in the format right now. But be sure to comment below. Let me know what you think about the deck, what kind of changes you would make. Like I said, I have tested it. It's very consistent, but I'm always open to feedback. And like I said, this is just kind of a foundation. Be creative, tweak it to your liking. So, be sure to subscribe, comment, like, or dislike if you didn't really like it. Spread the word about Top Deck Nation. I can't say how much I appreciate your support. You guys, the Pokemon community is awesome. Like us on Facebook. We just started an Instagram, so check us out on there as well. But this has been Zach with Top Deck Nation, and I will catch you guys in the next one. And oh yeah, be sure to let me know which video or which deck profile for states you want to see next. I'm very excited about states, and just let me know what you want to see next. So until then, I will see you later.